Shan, a pleasure to have you in CNBC Indonesia.
Thank you for having me.
So it's a very unfortunate events that happened in the October 7th, which is last week. And more than a week of the Israel versus Hamas has been added to add more geopolitical escalation other than Russia versus Ukraine. What impact do you think this event will have to the global economy?
I think this event will have a huge impact on the global economy as the markets continue to stay volatile and investors are feeling nervous. And the way the global economy is shaping up, I don't see the global economy recovering before 2026 and 2027. Yeah. And with this geopolitical risk coming back into the economy, many economies will actually suffer. At Juwai IQI, we have already mentioned last year that 60% of the global economy is in stagflation, 25% is in recession, and 10% is on the verge of a sovereign debt risk. And this will continue to go up as we move into the next 2 to 3 quarters.
So this surely adds more uncertainties about these dark clouds that's happening in the global economy.
Absolutely, the dark clouds will remain and investors will have a tough time navigating through, these challenges as we move forward.
What do you think will be the channel of contagion that happened after this escalation of Israel versus Hamas?
I think if you see the bond market, the route started in bond market. Last year, we shared with our sophisticated and well-informed investors that you should not take position in the bond market. And this is exactly what is happening. Bond is the worst asset class to be in. Most of the investors, they are going back to the 1970 era where they took position in tangible assets like real estate, gold, and silver, and we have already shared with our investors. So I think investors are going more towards tangible assets rather going towards bonds or equities. Equities will move up once the central bank will start lowering rates, but that will going to happen next year.
So tangible assets, just like real estate and gold?
Real estate, gold, silver, arts, agriculture. Agriculture is getting, the prices are getting higher. Yeah. Last year I was invited by SIDC, that is a training arm of Securities Commission. And we mentioned about 7 risks. Already out of 7, we have hit 5 in the market. And in one of those risks, I mentioned about the food security risk. So food security will become a huge challenge for many governments.
So something that is considered as a safe haven will be promising instrument options, investment options.
Absolutely.
Okay, right. And do you think about this one, the escalations of war between Israel versus Hamas is predictable? And are these dark clouds also having an impact in the regional economy, just like Southeast Asia and Indonesia, especially emerging markets like Indonesia, which is very fragile to uncertainties?
Very, very premature to say and very difficult to predict the outcome of this. It's easy to start a war, but how to end the war, it's a $1 million question.
So that's a very unfortunate one.
Very unfortunate one. And how is going to impact? Obviously, the Middle East is taking the brunt of this war, and they will face huge challenge to come out of that. But other economies, if you look at ASEAN, if you look at Economist magazine, they mentioned about 3 regions that will be booming last September. They mentioned about ASEAN, they mentioned about Africa, and they mentioned about GCC because of the higher oil prices. And we at Juwai IQI, we continue to stay buoyant on these 3 regions.
What do you think these 3 regions has other than other regions that this 3 specific region can escape from this global economic uncertainties?
Firstly, they have macroeconomic stability. When I talk about macroeconomic stability, I talk about the political, economic, and financial. Young demographic, people are consuming, investment is coming up. This is my 3rd day and first time in Jakarta, Indonesia.
How is it?
I am quite impressed with the country. People are so polite and humble and hardworking. So we have already informed our investors, if you are not in Indonesia, you are not in the right place. And if you see most of those reports, by 2030, Indonesia will become the 5th largest economy of the world, taking into account the young demographics, the strategic geography, the consumption investment. So the growth stability is tantamount to the strong consumption and solid investment. And in GDP, you have these 2 variables, that is consumption investment, that really gives a real boost to the GDP outlook. So we at Juwai IQI, we're quite buoyant on the economic outlook of Indonesia.
So consumption and investment, because a strong population and a very productive population in productive years for
It's all about demographics.
And
it's all about
demographics.
investment. It's all about consumption. And I have gone to so many, Grand Indonesia, so many hotels, people are consuming, people are spending money. You see the rush on the road. People say there is a traffic jam, because that shows the vibrancy, the resilience of the economy. So we are quite bullish on the economy.
Right, and thank you for that. Anyway, we're back again to the escalations of war between Israel versus Hamas. So you think it will have a relatively small impact to the Indonesian economy from your point of view?
Yes, it will have impact globally, but ASEAN region, yes, it will have a small impact, not a major impact as I foresee.
For Indonesia and for ASEAN?
For Indonesia, for Malaysia. So we are quite bullish on ASEAN region because of macroeconomic stability.